The notion that I, one, have the capabilities, okay, of moving mountains and swinging elections in favor of whoever I like is so stupid, because that means that I have more clout than Taylor Swift. I have more clout than Beyonce, okay? So cute, my little Hasanito. This is why it is mind-boggling to me that there are still people who are actively either deluded by these other content creators that are getting paid by the Democratic Party to actively advocate for the Democratic Party's inevitable demise, or the death of American democracy as it stands, the theoretical democracy that we are supposed to ostensibly defend here. And one of those examples, I'm going to use two examples here, okay, which is this one. This guy, Sneer Review, "We are so cooked it's not even funny," I said, who then quote retweeted me to say, "Bomb, bomb, Kamala Harris." To which I responded with, 22 months into the Gaza Holocaust and pro-Israel libs still try to act as though the Dems didn't throw the election by pivoting right, refusing to listen to the anger people had about numerous issues, including the and losing yet again to an incompetent fascist. They are deluding themselves. They are deluding themselves. They're actively and deliberately deluding themselves. They don't want to listen to the truth. They don't want to listen to reason. They don't want to make a proper analysis as to why they lost a otherwise winnable election. Is tough, but it was winnable. Every election is. It blows my mind that people still try to do this shit, especially when third-party voters, if every single third-party voter turned around and voted for Kamala Harris still would have lost the election. So there isn't even like votes that you could have secured from the margins there. So constantly yelling about the left being a spoiler in this election is idiotic. It's just not true. There is no amount of left commentary from myself and every other leftist commentator on the planet, right or wrong, by the way. Doesn't matter if our criticisms are right or wrong, but there's no amount of criticism that we could present that could outflank the multi-billion-dollar messaging campaign that Kamala Harris blew up with shitty message. And it's so indicative of their lack of interest in actually solving some of the problems that currently persist, whether it be Trump's active bouldering towards fascism, for example, then actively fighting against a guy who is trying to do his very best to combat the administration. If you're a fucking liberal, you should actually run around and say, "I'm so sorry. I was wrong. You were fucking right. Now I'm going to stand side by side with you because you already correctly called this shit out." And even if you don't have to do that, because you don't, okay? You don't have to do that, obviously. Even if you don't do that, and you don't have to do that, the least you could do is shut the fuck up and not try to consistently say this wrong thing that makes you feel good, as though you did your very best, and now you're tired. Now you can sign off. As people are getting black-bagged and kidnapped, you can just sit on the sidelines and yell about the left. If only the left voted for Kamala, this would not be happening. It's so stupid. It's also simple. The problem is simple. Democrats run away from their base. They despise their base. Republicans run towards their base. They fear their base. That's it. That's it. Democrats actively try to convince their base that the things that they are demanding are actually bad and they should suck it the fuck up and vote for them anyway. Republicans don't do that. Republicans will find active issues that have grassroots backing, no matter how insane it is, like QAnon, and will find a way to make that a part of their platform. Okay? They do that. The greatest version of someone behaving like this is Zohran Mamdani. He went out there, he asked people what their fucking problems were, and he said, "I'm going to solve them." There it is. You don't have to be a card-carrying communist to be able to do this, okay? You just have to listen to people. You just have to listen to their demands. You just have to listen to what they want, okay? I try my very best not to fucking fight with Democrats at this moment, but they make it so goddamn hard when they just like put the crosshairs on someone like myself instead of actively fighting in unison against the Trump administration, and also maybe taking a cold hard look at why they lost. Okay? It blows my mind. It's just so fucking frustrating because this is just a demonstration of this person's lack of interest in fixing any of these problems. He just wants to appear right, and he knows he's wrong. Okay? He knows he's wrong. He knows he was wrong. He wants to be pro-Israel, and he wants to still present himself as a progressive, even though Israel's doing a genocide, and the walls are closing in. So he just like actively tries to attack someone who was correct from the start. Someone who is doing a lot more than he is in terms of trying to fucking fight against the Trump administration currently. Yeah, it sucks that Kamala blew the election so bad by running as a Republican. That's a very stupid thing to believe. Wasn't he right about Harris allowing genocide, though? No. Not allowed to criticize Kamala Harris for becoming a warmonger because a few of your followers might decide not vote for her. Probably a lot of his followers, actually. Again, fantasizing about a reality that did not exist. These guys want me to sit there and fucking lie to my audience, okay? That's it. They want me to do for free what these other content creators are doing for $250 a month or $8,000 a month. There's no amount of money that would cause me to do that, okay? Because that's not my goal. My goal isn't to like be a shepherd, no matter how much some fucking hammer and sickle meme accounts on Twitter who were prominent community members here at a certain point and then, you know, got actively radicalized beyond my perspective might say. My goal is not to be a shepherd of the Democratic Party, okay? I'm a shepherd for good policies that alleviate the tension, the stress, and the harm that the American working class is experiencing, and the working class broadly in general around the world. Yo, even 20K, come on, bro. Who you lying to? That's really funny that you think that there's any amount of money that would cause me to do this when, like I said, the Piker Broadcasting Service is funded by you, the viewers, for you, the viewers, and that's it. Your subscriptions allow me to maintain my editorial independence. You are a liar. I need more hogwatch. Fuck the centrist dem cunts. It's their fault we are here. You voted for Harris on stream. You are a liar. There was never a moment where I explained to people that they should go out and vote for Kamala Harris. I also urged them to not vote for Donald Trump. There was also one other third party that I said was bad. There was other third party candidates that I did not say were bad. But overall, yeah, I also turned down $1 million as a starting point in the negotiations, which means it could have gone up on election day because of my principles. Nothing is good enough for these people, it seems. I know. There's no other content creator you know who's done something like that. I promise you. The other version of this that I saw was my former podcast co-host who I don't know if I can find it, but like it was an Instagram story version of this. It was the Instagram story quote retweet, which was so fucking crazy. I saw people saying Hasan, which is kind of funny, but remember when they asked Austin Show to do stuff with the DNC law? I confirmed that Hassan the Hun was not approached for this program. I didn't see Austin on the list either. The 90 influencers involved appear to be primarily centrist pro-DNC Dems who have not spoken out about Palestine and are pro-Israel. Come on, bro. You just heard my comment instead of alluding to it. Give me that dopamine from hearing my words again. What? Chatter forgot all the hate you got for okay, shut up. I don't care about it. Oh, this is the one I was thinking of. Yes. This is another example of like liberals behaving in this like silly way. Everywhere around you, things are deteriorating in real time, and most people are sleepwalking through it all, worried about the Cracker Barrel logo change as the Trump admin is knee-deep in the waters of fascism, Holocaust in Gaza, kidnappings by ICE, domestic military occupation. This is the only take that you hear from this man who's supposed to be, who's broaching the waters of political commentary here. Every single one of these policies would have been prevented by a Kamala presidency. You love complaining about Trump, but where the fuck were you when you could have done something about it? Again, I did try to do something about it. I tried to, every single day, actively yell at those who would listen that Kamala Harris was going to lose the election to a fucking fascist if she went right, if she swung right, and nobody listened. I did. I was right. What the fuck is this conversation? The notion that I, one, have the capabilities, okay, of moving mountains and swinging elections in favor of whoever I like is so stupid, because that means that I have more clout than Taylor Swift. I have more clout than Beyonce, okay? They openly and actively endorse Kamala Harris. How do I have more motion than they do? And if I do have that level of motion, then how stupid are the Democrats for not actively courting me? If I had that level of motion, how the fuck were the Dems not courting me and courting Liz Cheney instead? It's perhaps because nobody thinks I have that level of motion. This is just cope. Okay? And as far as my criticisms of the campaign, they were correct. They are the reasons why she lost. I did not want Donald Trump to win. These guys just simply cope. Also, not only do they cope about this to make this like cynical smear that like, oh no, Hasan actually wants Donald Trump to win. He always wanted Donald Trump to win, when obviously if you listen to even 3.5 seconds of my fucking broadcast leading up to the election, post-election, you would know that that is not the case. It's an insane smear, okay? But not only that, but also I have been actively fighting against the Trump administration and even have withstood penalties as a consequence of actively fighting against the Trump administration and also consistently advocating for issues that I care about. Okay? These guys have not. Their only political advocacy, liberals, their only political advocacy is basically just like left bashing at a time when everyone needs to be united against the Trump administration. It makes no sense. It's just shit smearing. That's it. Yeah, I guess he just wanted Kamala to lose, but with my support as well. Anyway, it's such a silly argument, and it's crazy that like it's still repeated over and over again. This isn't to say that I have no motion whatsoever, for the record. Of course, I understand that I have some level of influence, especially a level of influence that works best when you have a candidate that is aligned with my worldview, because there are a lot of door knockers in this community. There are a lot of people who will go out and smile and dial for candidates. Okay? There are a lot of activists in this community. So yes, there is a lot of influence, more so than like the average person, for sure. This is a very politically motivated, politically active community of people. Okay? And a great example of that, once again, when used at the behest of a candidacy that actually aligns with my worldview, with my goals, is Zohran Mamdani. a fuck ton of people both directly worked in the campaign in the close circle of Zohran Mamdani and also were a part of the door knockers within the DSA New York structure. Okay? So I'm not going to sit here and act like there's no influence whatsoever to like abdicate myself of this responsibility. But the reality is these guys want me to do something that I'm never going to do, which is to lie to people, right? Why won't you lie to your audience if there's something that she's doing that is indicative, that spells doom, right? Kamala Harris saying she's going to have the most militant military. Kamala Harris also saying she's not going to separate herself from Joe Biden when it's very clearly an anchor around her neck. These sorts of criticisms are not made because I want her to lose. These sort of criticisms are made because I don't want Trump to win. I mean, the reason I'm here and not in their chat is because I think I and a lot of others hold you to a greater standard. Everyone knows Brian, Pacman, Ethan, etc. are tools. You are not. So when people see you shitting on Kamala pre-election and giving a lot of moral supremacists win their sale to go see Never Kamala just to their own ego and detriment to Palestine. What? I'm confused. What argument are you trying to make? Are you saying that like you hold me to a higher standard so I shouldn't actually criticize Kamala Harris as is warranted for making horrible fucking choices that led to her electoral defeat, as I fucking said was going to happen, most likely? Wouldn't you not hold me to a higher standard if I did that? Then I would also be a tool. This makes no sense. My job is not to lie to my community so that a particular candidate can win. My job is to tell you what the truth is, okay? Sometimes it's a hard to swallow pill. If the left was powerful, she would have chased our vote instead of racist suburbanites. Exactly. Once again, one of the most important parts of this is you cannot outflank the Democrats. If the Democrats are spending billions of dollars communicating message A, you can't turn around as a Twitch streamer and communicate message B and expect people to believe you, because people are just going to go, I don't believe you. They're saying something entirely different. Like, you want me to just like lie and be like, no, you don't understand. The Democrats are not doing a genocide when they are. Of course I can't do that. You want me to lie and say Kamala Harris is actually an anti-Zionist, someone who is going to stop the genocide, when she chose not to say that? Olivia Juliana, another one of these people that was paid, by the way, responds to someone saying, Olivia Juliana is a 21-year-old Latina, yet her political views mirror those of an 81-year-old Joe Biden. She's not coming to these beliefs on her own. She's being paid to spew them. She's the exact type of Gen Z/young Dem that the Democratic establishment wants, because they've done what any actual change, they don't want any actual change or progress. When young people ask that more of us be allowed in the party, this is the type of young people they decide to allow. Those who will regurgitate losing platforms and attack fellow Gen Zers, not anyone looking to shake everything up and go in and stand up for those who make less than $400,000 a year. Democrats do not want young people with integrity or self-respect. They want those willing to change their beliefs for a bag of money or a TV spot. They want someone who will defend any bigoted agendas, and they love using young black and brown to do it. Young black and brown people to do it. To which she responded with, the fact that some of you think that a young person can only have the political leanings of Bernie Sanders is part of the reason we lost young men in droves. I'm not being paid to speak my beliefs. I just don't let you all bully me for being who I am. Don't like it tough. Like, damn, I'm pro-Medicare for all. I'm pro-public schools, pro-immigration, pro-DACA, pro-combating climate change, pro-public education. I graduated from rural Texas public school, and yet I'm a Republican. Y'all are full of shit. I don't claim to represent anyone but myself. You're all just mad that I have the platform I do. If you don't like me or agree with me, block me. I don't care. So the issue here is she says all of this, but when the Democratic platform does not reflect any of these issues, okay, she turns around and defends the Democratic platform. That's the problem. If you are pro this, you have to advocate for this. You have to tell the Democrats that are paying you to actually reflect this. The campaign stopped engaging with voters concerned about Gaza in the crucial final weeks. Around the same time, Kamala Harris embraced Liz and Dick Cheney. The thought process with anybody concerned about Gaza was, okay, we'll lose you, but we'll pick up two somewhere else. And it was a fucking abject failure. They knew that they had, they knew that they could possibly lose, by the way. Okay. But they didn't just want to win. They wanted to win with their own methods. They wanted to win in spite of the anger and resentment that people felt towards not only Gaza, but towards the immigration process that was becoming increasingly more reactionary, that the Democrats were championing Republican policies of 4 years past. And it failed. Anyway, this is the other group, Unfuck America, I guess. And they're also another group that's like actively working with Destiny and you know, they're left bashing. That's when a group within the DNC structure focuses on left bashing, I'm out. You know what I mean? That's ridiculous. There are plenty of fucking people who actively take up arms against me on the left who present themselves as far more radical, far more truthful, far more honest. Okay? I spend very little time yelling at them. Why? Because they hold no institutional power. Okay?
Reached out to about joining the Unfuck America tour. It's exploitation, and please do not confuse that for allyship.
This message is not for that girl because I have no fucking idea who she is. She was not invited to the Unfuck America tour. Clearly that message was just from a random supporter. But I want to give an example of why we need to stay away from people like this as we head into the midterms for 2026. As you all know, the whole point of the Unfuck America tour is not just to clap back at Charlie Kirk. It's to get voters registered for 2026.
Well, that's an abject failure so far. Holy fuck. If you look at the Democratic Party registration numbers, it is fucking awful. God damn.
We know from this New York Times article that was just posted this past week, we are so much further behind than even people like me on the ground thought that we were. People that use these like buzzwords in the leftist movement, like performative and allyship and all of this like soy bullshit, are people that have never gone outside and actually knocked a door of any registered voter in this country. You know who loves to see this? You sitting on your ass trying to fucking mansplain what's performative as if you somehow get to fucking determine what's performative. Charlie Kirk and Scott Presler, who are registering voters by the thousands every day.
Perhaps, and I don't mean to be a burden here for the good work that the Unfuck America tour is doing, I guess, but perhaps there are discernible policies that Charlie Kirk and all these other fucking dipshits actively point to as a political victory that you can get more of by relying on an endless faucet of right-wing culture war issues that they've designed as a distraction away from the real economic hardships that people experience. Perhaps if the Democratic Party did something similar and earnestly talked on the affordability crisis and presented reasonable solutions uncompromisingly, unconditionally, and we're not so afraid to lead discourse for once on these issues, we're not so beholden to their corporate benefactors, then there would be more success when you knock on a fucking door. Because if you're knocking on a door and you're presenting the Democratic Party as you know, defending American institutions, maybe you'll get a couple like 65-year-old white people in the suburbs to go, you know what, you're right. But by and large, this has been an unsuccessful method. Kamala Harris's defeat to Donald Trump shows how unsuccessful this method was. And yet, instead of learning from that lesson, that devastating defeat of the last election, we're just going, la, 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 you're wrong. We're just going to keep door knocking. We're going to hang out with people who are refusing to talk about Israel, that's a major issue, by the way, 92 to 8%. Okay. We're never going to bring up genocide. We're never going to bring up a bunch of the things that went wrong with the Democrats and the way that they communicated, the way that they capitulated the right-wing framing on a lot of these issues. We are too afraid to lead. We are too afraid to demonstrate courage when communicating on some of these problems that everyone is experiencing. And we're going to hope that we can win. Well, good luck.
In swing states, mind you, like the one that you live in. So I am begging you, stop following these people. Stop engaging with their content. Stop allowing them to make money off of outrage while we are suffering because of policy. And let me leave you with this. There is no allyship in losing elections. There's nothing pretty about that. Know who is actually on your team. And for those of you who actually want to take this seriously.
Yeah, once again, your entire goal is to silence the left flank, which is not going to work because you have no motion, right? But it's crazy. Hey, guys, there is an active threat to every person's existence in the White House right now. But you know who I care about the most? Leftists, activists that are taking it up to the streets and actively combating against this administration's horrible agenda. Those are the real villains. Don't listen to them. Don't listen to people who demonstrate moral consistency. Please don't do it. Listen to me instead. Someone who's getting paid by the Democratic Party to drive up voter turnout and failing to do so. Who the fuck wants a regurgitation of Chuck Schumer, but in like the TikTok sphere? Who the fuck was like, oh yeah, I really want to hear from Hakeem Jeffries, but this time from the mouth of like a 25-year-old TikTok Zoomer. That's what I needed. That's really going to do it this time.
Please go to our website, unfuckamericatour.com, sign up to volunteer, sign up to donate. And as always, if you have questions after watching this video, send me a DM and I will help you out.
Do people like her even get paid yet? This is a person who like runs that gets funded by a Democrat Party super PAC, or just a PAC, a political action committee from that is funding the Unfuck America tour. I know it was an iconic moment, but honestly, the way you responded to the person in that vid that was saying you weren't socialist enough is the model example of how to appreciate someone outflanking you. Yeah, and also, this is another problem. Dem politicians' popularity is going to go to zero if they continue to refuse to acknowledge the obvious fact that the U.S. is presently sponsoring a genocide. You can't be the party of reality, human rights, and decency if your head is in the sand here. This is after a new Quinnipiac poll came out saying 50% of voters say Israel's committing a genocide in Gaza. That includes 77% of Democrats, 51% of independents, and 20% of Republicans. 60% of voters oppose sending more aid to Israel, which includes 75% of Democrats. Who are the 2% of Democrats that are like, Israel's doing a genocide, but we have to keep sending them aid? Bernie Sanders. 66% of independents and 37% of Republicans oppose sending more aid to Israel. By the way, the public filings of D's PAC, oh, you mean Progressive Victory, shows that they have made multiple payments to basically every one of your haters. They are unfucking America by paying commentary slop tubers. That's a different one. Unfuck America is a different group that the Molestiny is working with. The whole tour has been a mess. Z can't account for money and was racist towards black creators. This was Christian Divine's vid about the racism aspect of it. I don't care enough about the Unfuck America shit, so I'm not going to cover that. I genuinely don't care. I don't think it has like that much motion in general. I think it's one of those things where it's like it was big on TikTok for a brief moment, but it's just not worth the coverage here. Like, I mean, like I said, they've already shown what their ambitions look like by actively presenting Molestini as a major warrior for their cause.